following presentation is controversial and may be offensive to some audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Real quick, my name's Walt Quinn. I know a lot of you in the room, and thanks again for coming out and participating. I'm like many of you, I'm just your average diver offshore that loves the ocean. And several years ago, I think for the first time, I started to realize that we had a lionfish problem. You know, we should do something, right? Our first year was last year. This is our second annual. We have two charities that we think deeply about. The Down Syndrome Association of Jacksonville. Every dime that you spend goes to charity. So this is great. This event is helping Mother Ocean. We're giving to charity, and we're doing research. Vlad's going to give you all a great overview of the lionfish problem. So here's Mr. Ladd Atkins from Reef coming up from Key Largo.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us up again this year. This is what we're targeting. This is lionfish. Interestingly, this is the first non-native marine fish ever to invade anywhere in the Atlantic or Gulf of Mexico and become established. And this has never happened before. So all of this, the issue we're dealing with lionfish is brand new. We don't have examples of how best to deal with something like this. There's a lot of trial and error that takes place in learning what we're going to do about it. This area in the green and the blue is native territory for lionfish. So this is the tropical Pacific, the Indian Ocean, the Red Sea, and that's where lionfish belong naturally. And then here we are way over in the Western Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico, and people usually have lionfish are a stalking predator. So they hunt their prey. It has to be out there moving around. They stalk it, they get very close, and when they're close enough, less than a foot away, they make a rapid rush forward. And just like a largemouth bass, they open a big mouth, creates a vacuum, and they just suck their prey in whole. So we see juvenile grouper and snapper in lionfish stomachs. When they're small enough to eat, lionfish take those. We also see very ecologically important species, grazers around a coral reef. You need things to graze on the algae to keep it from overgrowing the coral. So the parrotfish, and cleaner species like hogfish and like some of the crustaceans that pick parasites off other fish. All of those are lionfish prey and many, many more. Due to lionfish predation, the average prey fish community, that means anything smaller than about 7 inches, declined by an average of 65%. And the good news that we're finding is that local control by removing lionfish can be very effective, and we can have a positive impact. One thing we need to be cautious of, though, when we're removing lionfish, is we need to be aware that they have venomous spines. It's important to know that the spines on the back are venomous. They're very long and sharp, but there are also spines on the bottom of the fish that contain venom. So 3 short spines at the bottom of the fish, the anal fin, and 2 spines on the pelvic fins up on the bottom of the fish towards the front. The typical symptoms of a lionfish sting will be pain and swelling at the sting site. If you do, make a nice safe ascent, and then the best first aid you can use on a lionfish sting is soaking in non-scalding hot water. That hot water tends to denature the protein base of the sting, it relieves the pain, and will make the symptoms less severe. The best way to hold the fish is by the head. Then grabbing the fish right across the cheeks, right across the face, will keep you away from the dorsal spines, pelvic spines, and anal spines. So that's the best way to hold the fish. It's very helpful for us to be able to know where you're fishing, how many fish you're bringing in from those areas, so we can determine what effect are we really having from them. We did a real quick calculation from one of our other derbies to look at how much lionfish would consume if they were left out there in the water. And we had 1,043 lionfish, and we calculated based on models that if those fish had been left out there, if they hadn't been brought in, they would have eaten between 2 million and almost 9 million prey fish in just the next year. So every fish you guys bring in is helping save a lot of our native marine life here. This is a progression map that shows the very first lionfish known in this region was from 1985, and it started in South Florida. The date changes up there, but you see a few sightings through the early and mid-90s, and in 2000 they started showing up further north along the coast, 2004 in the Bahamas, and then in about 2007 just this explosion throughout the entire region. And now really this can just all be red. From South America all the way up to North Carolina and all the way through the Gulf of Mexico. That's all lionfish territory. So pretty amazing what happened from just a few isolated fish in the beginning in the 80s. Once they began reproducing, it was pretty much all over.
Northeast Florida LIonfish Rodeo, and the biggest one, which is this one on my left, is 448 millimeters, 432 millimeters, so in inches, that's like 16 and a half.
16 and a half.
Yeah.
I got sidetracked.
Dave, out of my reach. All right, thanks, Dave. We have a kids book and a North Florida Reefs book. And the winner for these?
Key. 5, 8.
Last two items. We have two different zookeepers we're going to do. First, medium-sized zookeeper, and one more zookeeper for those that collect more than BJ
It
does.
says key. 584044.
We're proud to say that today in a one-day tournament we took over 1,000 fish out of the ocean. Really a Florida record. Palm Beach is 1,040. We're 1,092. So go Jacksonville. And this is my little Superman, Colin. Show him up. Take much of your time, apologize, but here we go. Smallest, we had categories of the most lionfish, the biggest lionfish, and the smallest lionfish, just so everybody can get a prize and, you know, Enjoy this time. The smallest lionfish in third place. The team is Downtime with a lionfish at 92 millimeters. In second place, lionfish of 89 millimeters is the Lion Tamers. First prize for the smallest lionfish and an incredibly small 87 millimeters. I think they squeezed it out of the mama. The team is Zookeeper. Their prize is $250 cash. All right, on to the biggest lionfish. There's a beautiful set of boats from Ed and Anna Deloach. Third prize for the biggest lionfish is a team called Priorities. Third prize for the biggest lionfish was 417 millimeters. All right, second place, Eastbound Down. And second place prize is a $100 gift certificate from one of our major sponsors, Scuba Tiger. All right, first prize for the biggest lionfish at 448 millimeters. That's insane, that's on steroids. The team is Talking Trash, and they win $500.
Sorry. Trying to get a picture of him, that phone messed up on him. Right here, Bose! Logan!
Alright, so we also have the certificates for participating in 13th place. Well, I won't say in place. If Hawaii would come up and get a certificate, Team Shorties, Team Job Site, Team Lionfish Slayers, Team Talking Trash, Team Endorphin 1 and Endorphin 2, Team Lion Tamers, Team Downtime, and Team Priorities. We all have a certificate for helping us and helping Mother Ocean. Really appreciate the efforts. All right, on to probably our biggest prize category, and this is the most amount of lionfish taken out of the ocean. So this is incredibly important, right? Yes. We've got some really cool prizes, starting with a nitrox course, a $300 dive watch, and $1,000. So in third place, with 144 lionfish in one day, the team is Zookeepers, and they win a nitrox course from Atlantic Pro Dives. Again, we appreciate that sponsor. All right, in second place with 216 lionfish in a day, they win a $300 Scuba Pro dive watch donated by Scuba Tiger. Again, one of our big sponsors, very generous. The $300 dive watch goes to Eastbound Down with 216 lionfish. 228 lionfish in one day. That's unbelievable. That's half of what we harvested last year. The team is Grocery Getters. Come up and get $1,000. Thank you everybody for the participation. We all really appreciate it. The charities appreciate it. Mother Ocean appreciates it. And for all of you that were at the tournament, thanks for just putting up with us for a little bit. Appreciate the time. And back to the band. Have a good time.